Have you ever had someone you love start changing in ways that are hard to explain? Maybe they're sleeping more, eating less, or just seem a little more distant than usual. These small shifts often go unnoticed at first, brushed off as just getting older. But what if they're actually subtle signs that the body is preparing for something deeper? The truth is, death in old age rarely comes suddenly. More often, it arrives quietly, with gentle warnings that show up months or even a year before life's final chapter begins. And while these changes may seem minor on the surface, recognizing them early can help you provide the kind of care, comfort, and presence your loved one truly needs. This isn't about fear. It's about love, awareness, and honoring the journey. In this discussion, we're going to explore 6 signs an elderly person may be in their final year. These are signals that deserve your attention, not just for preparation, but for connection. Because when you understand what's happening, you can stop feeling helpless and start making every remaining moment more meaningful. Let's begin with the first and often most overlooked sign, unexpected weight loss. It started with pants that felt a little loose. Then came the comments. You're looking thinner. Have you lost weight? At first, everyone brushed it off. After all, Margaret, who had just turned 86, had always been petite. But within a few months, her daughter noticed that Margaret's arms looked frilier, her cheeks more sunken, and the sparkle in her eye had dimmed. She had stopped finishing her meals, claimed she just wasn't hungry, and said food didn't taste the same anymore. It seemed subtle at first, but looking back, it was one of the first real signs that something was shifting inside her body. Many families miss this warning. They assume it's normal aging, or perhaps just stress or a passing illness. But when an elderly person begins losing weight without trying, it often signals that the body is no longer processing nutrients properly or that it's slowly preparing for its final transition. Unintentional weight loss in older adults is rarely harmless. It can mean the digestive system is slowing down, appetite is fading, or the body is no longer absorbing vital nutrients like it used to. Sometimes, the muscles begin to waste away even if a person appears to be eating. Other times, chronic conditions like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease are quietly progressing behind the scenes. Even emotional health plays a role. Loneliness, depression, or cognitive decline can all lead to a diminished appetite and neglect of meals. Families often respond by encouraging eating, offering favorite dishes, or supplementing meals with protein drinks. But when the body is already shifting into a lower energy state, these efforts may not bring the results you hope for. It's not about the food. It's about what the body is telling you. If you notice a loved one experiencing unexplained weight loss, the best thing you can do is respond with compassion, not pressure. Focus on small, nutrient-rich meals that are easy to eat. Keep them hydrated. Let meal times be calm and unhurried. And most importantly, recognize that this change may not be something to fix, but a message to listen to. It could be the body gently signaling that it's entering a new phase. This is the time to shift from urgency to presence, from trying to reverse the loss to simply honoring where they are. Now, let's move on to another sign that often follows closer behind weight loss. Deep and persistent fatigue that rest alone cannot cure. Eleanor had always been the kind of woman who kept herself moving. Even in her late 80s, she took pride in folding her laundry, tidying up her room, and walking to the mailbox each afternoon. But then things started to change. At first, she needed to rest halfway through making her bed. Soon after, walking across the living room left her winded. One day, her daughter found her sitting quietly in her chair at 10 a.m., still in her robe. "I just don't have energy today," Eleanor said softly. That kind of tiredness, deep, lasting fatigue that doesn't go away with a nap or a good night's sleep, is one of the most telling signs that the body is entering a different stage. It's not just being tired. It's the body's way of conserving energy as systems begin to slow down, shifting focus from activity to preservation. As we age, some fatigue is natural, but this level of weakness is different. It's when routine activities, getting dressed, standing up, walking a few steps, suddenly feel overwhelming. The heart may not pump as strongly, the lungs may not circulate oxygen as efficiently, and muscles may begin to lose strength faster than before. Many older adults start sleeping more during the day, taking longer to recover after doing very little, or feeling lightheaded after simple tasks. Some families mistakenly think their loved one is just being lazy or unmotivated, but in truth, the body may be quietly transitioning, doing less not out of choice, but out of necessity. It's not about pushing harder. It's about understanding their limits and honoring them with kindness and care. If you see someone you love starting to slow down in a noticeable way, don't rush them or try to return things to normal. This may be the new normal. Support them in finding ease. Use chairs with arms. Place items within reach, and offer help without making them feel helpless. Let them rest when they need to, even if it means missing a planned activity. Fatigue in the final stage of life isn't something to fix. It's something to understand. And in that understanding, we find compassion. We meet them where they are instead of trying to bring them back to where they were. That kind of presence is what truly matters now. And that leads us to another quiet change that can be harder to recognize when their mind begins to pull away even before the body does. Let's talk about the next sign: cognitive confusion and emotional withdrawal. A few months before my friend Harold passed, his daughter noticed something strange. He had always been sharp, could recall names, dates, and stories with perfect detail. But lately he started repeating himself, misplacing items in odd places, and forgetting what day it was. At first, they thought it was just normal aging. Then one morning, Harold asked when his wife was coming home. His wife, who had passed away 5 years ago. That moment hit like a wave. Confusion like this isn't just forgetfulness. It's a signal that the brain, like the rest of the body, is beginning to slow down. In the final year of life, it's common for older adults to experience increasing mental fog, disorientation, and memory lapses, even if they had no history of cognitive issues. These aren't always dramatic changes. Sometimes it's a slow fade, but if you're paying attention, the signs become clearer. Cognitive confusion often goes hand in hand with emotional withdrawal. You might notice someone speaking less, avoiding conversation, or seeming disinterested in things they once loved. It's not that they don't care. It's that their mind is shifting inward. Loud environments may feel overwhelming. Following conversations may become tiring. And even the presence of others can feel like too much. I remember visiting a woman named Joyce once, the heart of every gathering. But now, she preferred to sit by the window quietly, staring at the trees. She wasn't sad. She was simply distant, peaceful but far away. These changes can be heartbreaking to witness, especially for family members who want to keep their loved ones engaged. But pushing too hard often leads to frustration, not connection. If someone you love is beginning to withdraw emotionally or seems more confused than usual, try not to correct them. Instead, meet them where they are. Speak gently. Sit beside them. Hold their hand. Sometimes just being present is more powerful than any words you can say. Create a calm space, one filled with familiar sounds, soft light, and comforting routines. These quiet changes are part of the body's natural process of letting go, not a sign that they have stopped loving you. In fact, they may be feeling more than they can express. Let them know in small ways that you are still there, because even when words fade, the warmth of connection can still be felt. Now, let's move forward to the next sign, something that shows up in the body's ability to fight and recover, frequent infections and slow healing. It started with a small scrape on Arthur's arm, barely more than a scratch. But weeks later, it was still red and tender. The nurses cleaned it daily, applied ointment, and wrapped it carefully, yet it just wouldn't heal. Around the same time, Arthur caught a cold that lingered far longer than usual. Then came a urinary tract infection, followed by a low-grade fever that seemed to come and go. His family started to worry. He had always bounced back quickly from illness, but now even simple things seemed to wear him down. These aren't just isolated health issues. When an elderly person begins experiencing repeated infections or wounds that heal unusually slowly, it's often a sign that the immune system, the body's natural defense, is growing weaker. This shift can happen gradually and may signal that the body is entering its final stage of life, quietly pulling its energy inward. The immune system plays a critical role in keeping us well, but in the final year of life, it often can't fight back like it used to. What once was a harmless cold can turn into pneumonia. A small cut can become a lingering sore. Many older adults also develop chronic infections like repeated urinary tract infections or respiratory illnesses, which become harder to treat over time. Even antibiotics that once worked quickly may start losing their effectiveness, requiring longer or stronger treatments. And the signs of infection might not look like they used to. Fevers may be mild or absent, and instead of obvious pain or inflammation, you might notice increased confusion, fatigue, or loss of appetite. It's the body's quiet way of signaling that it no longer has the strength to fully repair itself. When you notice these patterns, frequent illnesses, delayed healing, unexplained fevers, it's time to shift the focus from curing to comforting. That might mean adjusting expectations. Instead of aiming for full recovery, aim for peace, ease, and emotional support. Keep your loved one warm and clean. Offer gentle fluids and foods that are easy to eat. Celebrate the small wins, like a calm day or a good night's rest. These are the moments that matter most now. Remember, slow healing isn't a failure. It's a reflection of where the body is. And recognizing that allows us to care with deeper compassion and clarity. Now, let's continue to another sign that often surprises families but speaks volumes about where the body is headed. Changes in breathing and circulation. Let's explore what those signs might look like. I remember sitting with my neighbor Helen one quiet afternoon. She had always been vibrant, full of stories, and never missed her daily walk around the garden. But lately, something had changed. She moved slower, her voice softer, and when we talked, she often paused mid-sentence to catch her breath. One day, I noticed her hands were cooler than usual, and a faint bluish color had crept into her fingertips. Helen brushed it off, saying she was just tired, but I could feel in my heart that her body was telling us something deeper. These changes, breathlessness, cool limbs, and pale or bluish skin, are often signs that the body is conserving energy and redirecting blood flow away from the extremities to support vital organs. It's not just a passing phase. It's one of the clearest signals that the body is beginning to slow down, preparing gently for its final chapter. As circulation weakens, you may also notice that your loved one prefers to sleep propped up or avoid lying flat. This can be due to fluid building up in the lungs, which makes breathing more difficult when reclined. Some develop a soft rattling or gurgling sound while breathing, a sign that mucus is not being cleared as easily as before. Others may start breathing in a pattern that speeds up and then slows down again, with pauses in between. This is known as Cheyne-Stokes respiration, and while it can be unsettling to witness, it's a natural part of the body's winding down process. These signs aren't emergencies, they are messages. And when we recognize them for what they are, we can respond with peace instead of panic. When changes in breathing and circulation begin to show, the most loving thing we can do is provide comfort. Keep the room calm and quiet. Use pillows to support their position. Offer sips of water if they are able, and stay close. Speak softly, hold their hand, and reassure them that they are not alone. This isn't about fixing. It's about comforting, witnessing, and walking with them. And sometimes, your presence alone is the greatest medicine of all. These signs are gentle reminders that the journey is shifting, and while it may be painful to watch, it's also an invitation to be present, to honor the moment, and to love fully. Now, let's move forward to one final sign, one that is less visible but deeply meaningful. Changes in emotional expression and personality. Let's take a closer look at a few weeks before my Uncle Ray passed. Something in him shifted. Something we couldn't quite put our finger on at first. He had always been a bit gruff, the kind of man who kept his emotions tucked away. But suddenly, he began reminiscing out loud, speaking softly about childhood memories, asking to see old photos, and even saying, "I love you more than we ever remembered." It was tender, unexpected, and deeply moving. Others, like my neighbor Clara, went the opposite direction. She became quiet, more withdrawn, sometimes seeming uninterested in the people and things she once loved. These kinds of emotional shifts, whether an outpouring of warmth or a quiet retreat, are not unusual in the final stage of life. They often reflect a mind and spirit starting to process what the body already knows, that time is growing shorter. It's not always sadness. Sometimes it's a kind of quiet acceptance. In this final chapter, some people become more reflective or even spiritual, expressing thoughts about forgiveness, gratitude, or the past. Others may experience mood swings, irritability, or a calm detachment. Families often feel confused or hurt by these changes, especially when a loved one no longer reacts the way they used to. But these shifts are rarely personal. As the brain changes and as energy turns inward, emotional expression becomes more unpredictable or sometimes beautifully raw. It's not a sign that they are giving up. It's often a sign that they are turning inward to make peace. What matters most during this time is how we show up, with gentleness, with patience, with understanding that even if their words are few, their feelings still run deep. Emotional and personality changes near the end of life can be subtle or dramatic, but either way, they deserve to be met with grace. Try not to correct or challenge what they say. Instead, listen, offer comfort. Remind them they are safe and loved. Sit with them through the quiet moments, the laughter, the tears, and even the silence. Because these changes, while sometimes difficult to witness, are part of the sacred unfolding of life's final season. They offer us a chance to be present, not just in body, but in heart. And that presence is the most healing gift we can offer. Now that we've explored all 6 signs, let's gently move into our final thoughts. Because recognizing these changes isn't about giving up. It's about tuning in with love, clarity, and compassion for what truly matters most. As we come to the end of this discussion, let's take a quiet moment to reflect on what we've covered together. We talk about 6 signs that may appear in the final year of life: unexplained weight loss, persistent fatigue, changes in thinking and social engagement, repeated infections, shifts in breathing and circulation, and even subtle changes in emotional expression. These aren't easy things to witness, especially when they affect someone you love. But knowing what to look for allows you to be present in a way that truly matters. It gives you a chance to offer comfort, make meaningful choices, and hold space for connection even in the quietest moments. Remember, this isn't about fearing what is to come. It's about embracing each day with awareness and tenderness. Above all, know that you are not alone. Whether you're caring for someone or preparing for your own future, this space is here for you, with honesty, warmth, and care. Wishing you strength, peace, and gentle joy in every season of life.